What up, people? What's good, kings and queens? Today I have a very special guest. This is my guy, my man Lucky from Eazywork Fitness. If you haven't checked him out on Instagram, go ahead and follow him right now. We'll get to all those details a little later. But today we're talking about growth mindset. We're talking about the change, what it means to even have that growth mindset, and what the transition could look like. Because I'm going to tell you right now, it's not easy. But let me get to my guy and let him introduce himself. Lucky, tell him who you are, King.
I am Lee Lucky Davis Jr., the CEO and founder of Eazywork Fitness. I have been in business for about 10 years now. I believe I started Eazywork in 2011. This is my second business. My first business I started as a nightclub promoter for a Venue Resto Lounge in Rochester, New York. That happened in about 2007, 2008. And then I started Eazywork Business as a transitional business because of health problems. I went from being about 230, 240 pounds, and I went through some transitions, and I found myself at almost 300 pounds with so a lot of health ailments. So Eazywork Fitness was born out of me healing myself and growing and prospering in the field of wellness.
Damn. So, y'all know from that introduction, it's about to go down on mindset. To go from 300-something pounds, you see my guy right now. I mean, this is one of the top trainers that anywhere, you know what I mean, bar none. You talk about mobility, you talk about strength and conditioning, you talk about boxing. My guy is all around, right? He can get you right on anything. He does massage, so you know what I mean. I've been a client of his, and I know for sure what he can do. So let's get right into it, man. You talked a little bit about your story, but let's first describe and define what growth mindset is for you.
Growth and development for me is it's about being flexible. You got to be flexible. Rigidity will create stagnation in your life. It will create sickness in your life. It will create mental issues in your life. It will cause spiritual issues in your life. So if you don't understand how to flow, like Tai Chi, being able to flow and being able to move with ease, it will cause you to have dis-ease in your life. And a lot of times, all the time, really, whatever spiritual issues you have that you do not handle, tackle, and approach will start affecting your energy or your aura. And then it will start manifesting in you physically, because if you understand Qigong or Tai Chi or Chinese medicine, they talk about stagnation in the body. And to replenish and realign the body, you have to get rid of the stagnation. So while you're going through these certain movements, it'll show you where you have rigidity at. You'll have tightness in your back or in your hips or in your neck or in your hands and your feet. And those are all caused by the things that you ignore. And this is another concept of what they call ignorance. So when you ignore these things, it will start affecting you in a lot of the different aspects of your life, with your family, with your friends, at work, with your kids. And it's all about being in alignment with what you planned and what the universe has planned for you. And when you don't do those things and you move outside of that, that's when things really start happening for you in a negative way.
No, that's 100. I mean, I don't know if y'all caught all them jewels, dis-ease, disease, right? And ignorance, the word ignorance, like, people think it's a game, man. Like, stress and all that stuff comes from that, that scarcity mindset and focusing on the wrong things. So when you talk about alignment, I mean, you got to know what your values are in order to get into alignment. What really matters to you, not to everyone else. What matters to you? You have to have your own definition of success, your own definition of abundance, your own definition of doing well, right? Because if you don't, you're going to end up having that dis-ease, right? Yeah. And it's just going to stay there, and you're going to stay stagnant, as he was saying. So that was dope, man. I appreciate that. So what caused you, you just talked a little bit about your story. What caused you to just be like, you know what, F this, I got to transition. I got to go from where I am now to something greater.
Stagnation. When I was just on the phone with, my brother, and we had a business going with the nightclubs, and we were doing a lot of good work, and we got a lot of money together. But things started changing, things started transitioning, and for me, I was a pivotal part of all those things. But in that transitional period, I was a second thought, and I didn't handle it well because for me, I value myself. I value who I am and what I bring to the table, and it was like the table was being pulled away from me. So in return, I was like, okay, I don't ever want to be in a situation where that happens again. So I'm just going to create my own table.
Right.
So it wasn't the popular thing to do. Like I said, I walked away from a lot of money, so my finances changed. People looked at me strange. Everybody thought I was stupid for doing what I did. Even my mentor, he was just like, "Word, that's what you doing? Like, you never do that. You ever do that?" And I'm just like, "Nah, bro. I know who I am and what I am,
right.
And
you knew your values."
For me, what you saying is it. It really wasn't it no more. So I had already been treated the way I was treated. I already had been disrespected the way I was disrespected, and I loved me enough to be like, you know what? I'm gonna fall back.
Right.
I used to pride myself on my fallback game. Used to be like over 9,000, like how a person would fall out of a plane. That's how I would fall back from people in situations, because it's like, okay, well, I could either put my warrior cap on and grab my machete, or I can grab my screwdriver and hammer and start to build. And that's what I decided to do. I wanted to build something that was mine, something that I can control and cultivate and build and watch those seeds grow. And that's what I did. So
that's what's up, bro. That's what's up. So what is the seed flourished into?
The seed is flourished into healing and inspiring the world. Eazywork Fitness. That's our main goal and our main role is to be the examples for people to look to and be like, you know what, I can be that. I can do that. I've been a trendsetter in my city for a long time. I've been a pioneer in a lot of different aspects. Over the last couple of years,
that's Rochester. We gotta let them know Rochester, New York.
You already know. With the club scene, through all my success, all my turmoil and chaos, I birthed a lot of teams and a lot of businesses out of what the things that me and my mentor had did. And once I got that recipe and that formula, I went through all the ups and downs. I got to deal with all the chaos and turmoil of having a business and having people up under you.
Right.
It helped me understand how to do it myself. Because once you have the recipe, you can cook every day. But if you only go to people for meals, they're going to give you a plate of what they think you need to have.
Right.
How much protein you need, how many carbs you need, how many healthy fats you need, how much water you need. But when you know how to go and get your own water, when you know how to go and hunt for your own food, there's never going to be a scarcity, of abundance.
Right. Yeah, because it can't. I mean, how is the scarcity when you already know that you can do it in perpetuity? Right. Yeah. When you learn how to create success in perpetuity, you never worry. Yeah. Right. It could be a negative situation, but because you have that growth mindset and you've taught yourself, which I think a lot of us need to do more of. Right. Teach ourselves ways to create the abundance. You don't have to wait for opportunities. As he was just saying, he created something else. When he saw this falling, right, he was like, yo, I gotta go out and get it myself. Even his mentor was telling him, like, you know what I mean, like, yo, you tripping. But when you understand, right, it's cool to have mentors, it's cool to all that, but you gotta discern what's right for you still. Yeah. Right? You have to be able to see that and see where you're trying to go. Because people can't live your life for you. Right? You have to have that sight. You have to understand internally what matters for you and what you're trying to get at, right? As I said earlier, define success for yourself. Don't let anyone else define it for you. Because when you're living for someone else, you're not living.
Yeah. And that was very important for me because it helped me discover me more. And once I understood who I was and what I was and how I needed to move, a sound understanding of myself and having an identity helped me understand, okay, with this identity, what do I have? What don't I have? I have all these things, but I haven't activated them. So understanding that all these aspects of me are already there to do the things that I want to do. I say I want to be these things. I say this is the calling that I have on my life. This is the purpose for me. All right, so how do I get from point A to point B? Or go from point B and see that this is point B. And I need to get back and see where I am, which is point A, and that'll be the path that I take.
Right.
You know, and that's really essential.
Right, being able to have that foresight to say this is where I'm trying to go, and you don't need to know the how, right? You don't need to have all the steps in place. Just start moving, start taking action, right? The how becomes clear for you as you relax into your purpose, right? When you start taking that journey, man, it's like it's like the clouds get removed, and you know, of course, there's going to be some rain and some storms, but as you continue to move, right, that path becomes so much clearer. Right, and things just start falling in because you know that law of attraction, right? When you say I want this and you're purposefully moving towards that, as long as you don't quit, you know, it starts coming into play. But you have to have the foresight, right? You have to be able to see, like you said, how do I get there?
Yeah,
you know?
I was watching a video on Will Smith the other day. It was a dope video. It was a short clip. I think I reposted it on my Instagram. But he was talking about how his father taught him how to play chess at a young age. And he got really good at it. And the first time he beat his father never played him again. But he found new people to play. And he said he found this chess master who taught him the secret to playing chess. And he was like, the secret to playing chess is to know where you want to be. He said, and when you know where you want to put this piece on this board, he said, then you backtrack to where you are on the board with that piece. And that's the path you take to get there. That way, things are much easier for you.
Right.
You know, in Yoruba culture, they call that energy the warrior god Ochosi. He has the bow and arrow. Ogun clears the path. That's what you see my machete on my gear. That's a representation of Ogun clearing the path. But Ochosi gives you the best route to go. So it's strategy.
That's what's up.
Understanding strategy and understanding that you can have the knowledge, but you need the wisdom to be able to implement it. And that's what that deals with. And that's why they call them the warriors. Because they help you on your path. So, you know, getting a better understanding of where you want to be, who you want to be, and how you want to be it, and then understanding the best path to go to get it, it'll make your life much easier. And it will not put you in the state of always having to survive. Now you can thrive.
100. And how did you, you know, you mentioned the Yoruba culture. How did you come to learn that? And how did you come to implement that once you learned that?
You know, I'm really big on culture and history. That's one of the things that I picked up probably like in 2012, 2013. I started really trying to get a better understanding of who I am as a chocolate man in this world. And what I wanted to understand was, you know, genetically, you know, what's ingrained into my DNA, who I was and what I was before I came into this physical world. And I did my history on myself. My parents, my grandparents, my great-grandparents, you know, where they were brought up at, what tribes they came from, what native tribes they would belong to. You know, I'm Cherokee, Alabama Cherokee. I am Florida Cherokee. And when I was able to find out these tribes, it brought a lot of things to context. And then I started studying, you know, the black natives. And then, you know, I started doing, you know, some more spiritual work to get a better understanding of, you know, who we were and what we did before, you know, we were colonized. And that, you know, opened my eyes up to history and culture of Africa. So when I started diving into the African history and culture, it was abundant. And, you know, we weren't taught these things.
Right.
You know, so when I learned the abundance of what we did for this world and this universe and how we were able to take high science and bring it into the physical plane, you know, because that's all spirituality is. Spirituality is science that's explained. You know, when you see things, and that's what science is, spirituality that's explained. So when you see these things and you see technology from phones, you know, you got coltan, you got all these different elements that you can put together. This is nothing but alchemy, and that's what we study and practice, you know, in our homeland.
Right.
You know, and if you're a herbalist or if you're somebody who likes to cook, you take some carrots, you take some water, you take some onions, you take some oil, you take some herbs, and you can make a dish out of it. That's not what it was when you first got it, but you created something different.
Right.
And that's what alchemy is. It takes your energy. So when people eat your food, you know, Big Mama come to the crib, you go to Big Mama's crib and she gives you a plate, you're tasting her love. You're tasting her intentions. You know, you're tasting all these different things, but that was what she did. She put her spirit in it.
Right.
And that's what you're building, and that's what, for me, that's what I do, on a daily basis. I live my life in that capacity, but learning about West African culture, learning about South Central African culture, learning about Nile Valley culture and the history and how these things were implemented, and how we traveled and circumnavigated the globe, and how we have a presence in every continent, and the things that we've done for all these other systems and cultures. It really helped me have a pride in myself, and it helped me uplift myself in a way to know that I am greater than what somebody defines me as. And then when I started getting that information, I wanted to dive more into the actual systems. I really didn't. The knowledge is cool, but is it applicable?
Exactly.
Are these things still alive in me? Are they still alive in this world and in this universe? And then the answer was yes. So once I started getting that, those itches to find out more, wanted to scratch the surface and dig a little bit deeper, that's when, like you said, the law of attraction, things started being presented to me. Mm-hmm. When I meditate, when I pray, messages were given to me. And when I got confirmation of those things in the world, it was just like, oh, wow. Like, I would get spiritual readings done, or I would do a past life reading or something like that. And I had a feeling that, I had a heavy Nigerian background. Right. I was just studying in Nigeria for some reason. And when I found out that when I did my ancestry, I was Nigerian, I was Cameroonian, I was Congolese, and all those different aspects and all those people and tribes that came with that, they presented themselves to me in many different forms. Right. And I was just being able to put the pieces together, the puzzle pieces, then the picture started forming, and it was just oh, snap. All right, well, I am on the right path. This thing's starting to roll, and it really helped me. So I started studying Ifa. I started, going up under being like an underling to Ifa priests and stuff like that. And they were feeding me and nurturing me and teaching me the systems and stuff like that.
Tell them what Ifa is.
Ifa is a Yoruba system out of Nigeria. It deals with the elements of energy. People think that Africa and African culture and spirituality has been demonized in a sense. We live in Texas. It's a heavy Christian state. Right. And if you understand the systems that came before this system, you will understand that those systems birthed Christianity, Judaism, and Islam. They birthed Buddhism. It birthed Hinduism. It birthed Taoism, because it's not much so Christianity, but those former systems and those Eastern systems are also systems of nature. Right. And when I figured that out, it was just okay, I found my way, because, I have a heavy connection to nature. I have a heavy intuitive connection to spirit, and I didn't know what it was at first. I couldn't identify it, because I'm I'm hearing stuff and I don't know what it is. And, people who don't have a real clear understanding of that, oh, that's just the Holy Ghost. That might be it, but it didn't sound like it. It sounded like something totally different. This wasn't, and it's not just one voice, it's many voices. Trying to figure out how to, use discernment and, put these things in their proper place and get a better understanding of those things. That's what those West African systems and those Central South African systems and those East African systems will do for you. They will show you, you have more than what they show you. Just dealing with zodiacs, for example. People, I'm a Libra, so my whole life, I'm a Libra. But the moment you start studying astrology, you realize you have many pieces to you. You are all of those signs. It's just about understanding which sign is prevalent in what aspect of you. Gotcha. Gotcha. You have Taurus in you. You have Gemini in you. You have some Aries in you. You're going to have some Leo in you. You're going to have these things, and they come out in certain situations in life. And understanding and recognizing and honoring those aspects of you really helps you get a better understanding of you, because when you turn your back on certain frequencies, you shut down all of the messages and blessings and lessons that you can get from those situations. And a lot of people find themselves, going into the mental house. They say, oh, this is, racking my brain, or, my body's out of whack, and I don't know why, or I can't stop thinking about this thing, and it's just driving me crazy. Yeah, because you keep ignoring it. The moment you honor somebody, it's just like having a child. The moment you honor that child will love you forever. They have a proverb. They say a child will burn down a village just to feel its warmth. Meaning, if you ignore this child and you treat this child as an outcast, it will come back and it will destroy you.
Right.
If you don't honor this child, you got to honor this child for being what it is and who it is, and its presence and its essence. And that's the thing about nature. If you don't respect nature, nature will let you know.
For sure.
If you don't honor the air that you breathe and you abuse your body, nature will let you know. If you stop breathing, you die. It's very strict. It doesn't have any wiggle room in that. If you go into the water and you don't never come back up, you gone.
Right.
You got to have balance, and that's what that's what everything. If you look at whales will peek their head up out of the water, and they'll dive back down. Why? Because they honor the fact that there's something outside of the natural element that they're in.
Right.
And they want to get a little glimpse of that every once in a while. And they'll peek their head up, they'll get some air, they'll get that, just a brief moment, and then they'll go right back down into their element. And that's what we have to be. Me being, in essence, I feel like a hawk or an eagle or a big bird. So I fly high.
Right.
Fly super high, the highest of the high. And, there's nothing that flies higher than me. But me being this high doesn't mean anything if I still can't come to the ground and live. Right. That's what birds do. They come to the ground to eat. They come to the ground to to build with other birds. They come to the ground to sleep, but then they go back up and they live up here.
Right.
And that's what a lot of us fail to do. We're birds and we're trying to hang out with crocodiles. We're birds and we want to hang out with the rhinos. You can be in harmonious balance with the rhinos. You can be in harmonious balance with the lions, but understand that you are not a lion. You're a bird, so you have to live in your purpose. You're gonna have to navigate the jungle. You're gonna have to navigate the rainforest and understand that butterfly isn't your enemy. That butterfly serves a purpose, and it may take you to a place that you didn't even know existed. So being able to honor the butterfly, being able to see and observe the butterfly may take you to another aspect of your life that you didn't know that existed. And that's what it's all about. It's about navigating daily. And that's what spirituality is. It's a system of mirrors. If I look at you, I see me. But if I see you and you walking down the street, and I know you got your head down because you're trying to avoid me, the thing in me is like, hey, what's up, King? How you doing? Even if you don't want to speak to me, I'm going to acknowledge you. Because if I don't acknowledge you, that means I don't acknowledge myself.
That's for real. That's for real. That's why I always say like, what's up to everyone. Like if I walk by, especially my kings and my queens, I say hello. We've gotten to a point where we a lot of us are uncomfortable with that. Right? Uncomfortable with saying hello to one another. Right?
I don't know you. Who you think you're talking to?
Yeah. Why are you speaking to me? And that's that brainwashing, right? And that's that scarcity in us. Like, man, what they want now?
Fragmented. Very fragmented.
Yeah, very, very. It's like, what do they want now? So you hit on a lot of points, King, and I love that you broke it down and you took it to that level where you explained it in ways that can be understood. Because I'm be honest, I don't know much about the Yoruban culture. I don't know much about the spirituality in that sense, and that's why I wanted to have you on, because I knew you were going to bring that. Right, I knew you was gonna bring that fire about it and drop gems about that, about taking that elevation. Because your path, man, you mentioned you were on this path like club promoter. You was almost 300 pounds, right? And now look at you. So that what do you feel like was the catalyst? You said stagnation, but what sparked you to say I don't want to be stagnant anymore? What sparked you to say I wanted to learn more about who I was so I can go for it and find this purpose?
I'm a sponge. Anywhere I go, I can learn and grow from it. I can develop. I can be. But you never want to lose sight of your foundation. I wanted more than what people thought was good for me. Oh, this is for you. This is yours. Like I told you to play.
Right.
they wanted to give me a plate of food, but I wanted to learn how to cook. So I had a hunger and a thirst for knowledge and information. I had a hunger and a thirst for better. And even with the club scene, like I wanted to, move on to corporate America and do more things at a higher level, because I'm like, this is going to get me more, because I can really, really tap into a pool of abundance dealing with, Fortune 500 companies and, doing consultation work and putting on these major events and doing all these things, because I knew for me, like, this is like what I was really wanting. Even though I'm in the club scene and it's a lot of ladies and it's money and it's fast and it feels good and my ego's being stroked every night, like I wanted better. Like, okay, so this is cool right here. This is where we started at, but what's the next level? What's the progression?
Right.
And for me, like, progression is big. Like, I want to be able to, okay, this is where I started at, but I don't want to still be here in the next 5-10 years. So my thirst and hunger for greatness was like, what really pushed me to that level. And the stagnation let me know that it was time.
It was time, right?
Yeah, that was the key.
A lot of people don't listen to that.
Yeah.
Like when they're like, why do I feel like this? Why is things going on? Like, you got to be able to listen to that, man. That's that conscious compass telling you, like, yo, it's time to do something different. It's time to go for more, right? You've achieved what you could here, right? It's time to go and take it to another level, and that's it, man. You see my guy now. Like, he's taking it up a few notches, right? And you just getting started, man. You just getting started, bro.
Yeah, and that deals with cycles. We'll have failed relationships. We'll have failed friendships. We'll have failed careers, and we don't know why this keeps happening to us. People will say it all the time. I don't know why this keeps happening to me. I don't know. Well, it's because you're not paying attention to the small things. Another big thing that we have to do, because we are in a victim mentality here in this country and all over the world, because we've been victimized.
Right.
So having those emotional binds to situations will keep us always repeating cycles over and over again, because we don't know how to detach ourselves from what we feel and really get a larger understanding and a broader understanding of what's really happening. Because when we so focused on this part of the table, we don't see the patterns throughout the whole table, and how this little piece was affected by everything else. Like, this was once a tree, but if you say, no, this is just a table, then how do you have an appreciation for the tree that it came from? Like the plants and the animals that surrounded this tree. Getting a better understanding of what kind of tree it is, so you'll know if it's a strong tree. Is it worth being a table? Am I just wasting resources, time, and energy by chopping this tree down? Is it going to be something that's going to be stable and I can pass it down from generation to generation to generation? Or is it going to be something that I have to buy again? And that's what a lot of people don't take the time and really assess. Like, does this thing bring value to my life?
Right.
In a broad scale. Like, if I just focus on this one piece of the table, like, yeah, it may be able to hold my phone and my keys and my drink, but if I look at it from, how is this going to bring value to my family? How is this going to leave a legacy for me? Like,
well, how do you do that assessment?
You have to be able to, like I said, detach and take a step back. Like, being able to see things from a panoramic view allows you to see your whole environment. If somebody throws a rock and it came from this direction, and all I do is focus on this direction, and I don't see my whole environment, I don't see that there was more than just that one person who was standing over there. I don't see that there was a monkey in the tree flinging things. I don't see, that the person who had the monkey was over here, and he brought the monkey into the tree to throw the rock at me. All I'm doing is focus on the fact that I got hit with a rock and it hurts and I'm bleeding. I got to get stitches.
Right.
I'm upset because I don't know where to direct my energy at. And that's the part that we get caught up on, because we gonna keep getting hit with rocks.
Yeah.
Because people see,
especially especially in those adverse times. You know, you get so close to that wall, right, the fight, that you can't see everything. You know, but that's also the importance of like mentors and having people that you can go to when you can't see everything. Exactly. You don't really know what's going on. You don't have the answers, right? Because you know everyone needs that, right? Everyone needs some of that guidance, and everyone needs people like yourself who can come in and be like, all right, this is what's happening, right? I can see it from this perspective, right? Because opening yourself up to listen and to gain those different perspectives and to gain that insight from someone else really allows you to not just see the answer for that next move, like you were talking about chess, how you get there. It allows you to see the whole board, right? Because in chess, they talk about having like 5-10 moves ahead, right? It's not just that one move, and a lot of times we need help to see that stuff, and that's where the importance of having like this type of relationship where we can vibe out, we can talk about all these different things. Like I said, I didn't know much about the spirituality and those other cultures, but I just learned something, right? And that's why it's important to have those people who have the information, have the knowledge, and you're able to be a sponge and learn from them. Because if we just look at it from our own perspective, we would never see the guy that had the monkey that put him in the tree, right? Because again, you become so focused and so consumed about what's in front of you. Right, and a lot of times we don't take time to look around and see everything else and get that whole picture. Yeah. So I love that you said that.
Yeah, and that monkey that was throwing the rock, it was something for you to be fixated on while they steal everything that you had behind you. They might have want to grab your bag, or they might have pickpocketed you. They came in as somebody who was carrying. Oh my God, you got hit by a rock, but it was the person that actually did it. And they're sitting there trying to check you, and then they just low key assessing you. Oh, he got this, he got that, he got this. All right, let me go ahead and be your friend now. I got you sick now. Let me act like I'm the one that's going to get you better. And that's how the enemy moves, and that's the strategy. But if you're not strategizing, you will never see that. It reminds me of combat. In combat, they'll throw a distraction out there to you. If somebody wants to mug you, a pretty girl will walk by you, and she may give you some vibes, and you're sitting there and you googly eye focus on her, but you don't see the cat's ready to rob you. Right. Or if you're in a fight with somebody, and you don't see his boys that's been around you this whole time, you in the club, or you at the park, or you at the mall, you don't see these cats getting ready to jump on you. Because you're too fixated on the shiny things and the lights and the people that's walking around in the kiosks and all this other stuff. You don't see that you're being preyed on. Yeah. So or if you're just in a combat situation, being able to have peripheral view to be able to go from one attacker to the next is important. Right. And understanding your steps, because you always want to be in position, and that's what we don't have a lot of times. A lot of times we'll get hit for something we don't see, and we down for the count.
And that's crazy, because it's like in those scenarios, but also just we were talking about the scarcity mindset, man. Sometimes it's you who is doing that to yourself, right? You start these what if scenarios, you start these analyses of what could happen, and it creates that anxiety within you because you're so focused on the future that you're not even looking at the present. Yeah. So if you're not looking at the present, you're not present, right? You can't be there fully. And I had to learn that myself, man, because I was always worried about what's next. I was just checking them goal boxes, right? And it got me so blinded, so focused, that I ended up doing that, fearing failure. Not understanding that failure is actually where your lessons are learned most, right? That's the greatest teacher. If you fail, and success is actually insulated by that, because once you learn those lessons, now you can apply it and you move exponentially faster, right? You take it to another level because you're like, okay, I've seen this. Oh, I got caught with this left hook before, and I know that's the best punch, right? They're gonna throw. I'm gonna put that guard up, right? When I throw my cross, whatever it is, like to keep with that boxing analogy, so we have to realize that when we do get down, right, that's not it. It's not final, right? You still have the option to get up again and say, you know what? I just learned from that, right? I learned from that, and now I'm going to apply these things, because I'm not going to stay where I was. I'm going to get better, right? I'm going to get better from this, and it's not going to be the end like Will Smith's dad when he stopped playing with him. No, it's going to be like, okay, now I got something to learn, right? Maybe I need to pick up a new skill. Maybe I need to gather more resources. Maybe I need a mentor. Maybe I need, whatever the case may be, maybe I need to change my environment in order to become better. But you have to use that, and you have to have that mindset, that growth mindset, to say, I am going to learn and I'm going to apply it. You talk about applied knowledge. It's useless if it's just in your head and you're not utilizing it, right?
Yeah.
It's useless. So you have to share it, one, but also apply it to your own life.
Yeah.
So I think that's really important. So tell us, bro, if you were to give the listeners some tips, what would be 3 tips you would give them to get from that scarcity mindset to that growth mindset?
Self-love.
For sure.
For all 3.
For sure.
That's what it boils down to.
Yeah.
The goddess Oshun, she has an abundance amount of love because she's the goddess of love. But when she got her blessings, when she would get the things that she would in the position she would want to be, or just various different stories about how she's overcame so many different situations. It was because we nowadays are addicted to the gratification.
Sure.
We're addicted to the likes, the double clicks,
Sure.
and the comments, and those are driving forces behind why we do what we do nowadays. And she had a lot of situations in her life where people glorified her and they helped her and they exonerated her, but then when they didn't, she had a healthy foundation of self-love to keep her afloat. She didn't need somebody else to kick and swim for her and carry her to shore. She knew how to do that because her foundation was built on understanding and loving herself.
Right.
So whether you have ups, whether you have downs, your love for yourself, your view for yourself should still be the same, or even better, because you should be progressing in that and having a better understanding of you. So no matter where you are in your life, no matter if you're up or if you're down, you should still be appreciative of who you are and where you are.
Right.
And that's major.
That is major. And I wholeheartedly agree, man, because self-love ties into, it's the catalyst for a positive perception of yourself. You can get rid of that self-doubt because you're like, I am capable, right? I can do this. I remember the time where I was struggling on whatever it was and I made it through, right? So you rely on yourself and you understand that you have everything in you to get to where you're trying to go. But the moment you let that love, it becomes fleeting and it starts flickering a little bit, then that's when we run into the issues. Like we're talking about happiness. They talk about the pursuit of happiness. And I was having this conversation with someone the other day. It's like, happiness is truly internal, man, because no one can make you happy. No one can give you the happiness. If you're not happy with yourself, then nothing else even matters. Right? Nothing else is going to matter. Like I said
$1 million, I can give you 10 cars, I can give you a beautiful house, but if you're not happy with you, all those things will be destroyed.
It's going to be destroyed, and you're going to utilize all your blessings. You're going to turn them into destruction. Right? If you get more money, you're going to blow it. Right? If you get the love of your life, you're probably going to, do something to mess it up because you're not happy with yourself.
Whitney Houston.
Exactly. You're always going to look for more or what's next and all that other stuff, and you're never going to be in the moment to enjoy it. All right? You're never going to. You're going to look past. You're going to look in the past. You're going to look in the future. You're never going to look at now.
Yeah, and that's heavy because a lot of people are relying upon substances, to give them the feeling that they need.
Yep.
I want to feel fulfilled. So they're relying on substances to give them that feeling, that urge, whether it's sex, whether it's drugs, whether it's alcohol, whether it's attention. A lot of people are addicted to a lot of different things.
For sure.
They're addicted to it because they can't find that feeling within.
Right.
That feeling of abundance, that feeling of joy and happiness, and it will cause you to go outside of yourself to try to bring it back to yourself. So, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with weed. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with alcohol. But if you're utilizing it and abusing it, then it becomes a crutch.
Oh yeah. I mean, I can attest to that, man. Like, when I came back from my last deployment, I was trying to use alcohol for that, just to forget, man, because I was so focused on the past, and the past was creating so much pain within me, right, that I couldn't, again, be in that moment. I couldn't live because I was like, I don't even enjoy this stuff, man. I'm so focused on what happened, there. I'm so focused on what I didn't do or what I wished I did, and I was just like, just drinking, drowning out. It didn't even feel good, but it was just like, I'd rather do this and not remember what the hell I was just thinking about, right? Or even if I go into these episodes where I black out and it comes out anyway, right? So it's like when you do rely on those things, it exacerbates your issue. It doesn't even cover it. It makes it worse.
Makes it much worse,
right?
Because you didn't take care of it. So now you got that open wound that's getting infected. And you know, if you ever seen the movie The Matrix, the one guy who turned his back on the whole team that Morpheus was on, he said he wanted to go back in to the Matrix and he didn't want to remember anything.
Right.
He didn't want to remember nothing. And before he said, I know this piece of steak is not real, but my brain is telling me that it's juicy and tender and delicious. And he took a bite out of it and he said, ignorance is bliss. In African culture, ignorance is evil.
Right. Right.
You know, but in European culture and Western society, they tell you that ignorance is bliss. Certain things you don't want to know. I would rather be in the know of whatever it is that I need to know, because not knowing is the catalyst for fear and anxiety and depression and a lot of different things, because you have to wait on somebody else to give you what you quote unquote need. And that's not what we want. We want to be self-sufficient. We want to be self-sustaining. We want to be complete. And when we don't have that completeness, that's when we have all those other issues.
Right.
And it brings about, you know, different ailments and diseases. And that's what you don't want. You want to know everything you need to know about how you need to move in your lifetime. If somebody tells you that you need to outsource everything and you do that, you may feel good in the moment. You can wear nice threads and you can drive a foreign, you can live in a big fancy house. But if you don't have that abundance within, none of those things are going to matter. I can feed you the best foods, but you're not going to be able to feel. I can give you the best sex, but you're not going to be able to feel how you truly want to feel. It's never going to be enough.
Right. For real. Never going to be enough. And that's it, man. If there was anything you pulled from this conversation, it's the self-love is the catalyst for that growth mindset. You know, you can't get there if you can't even look at yourself in the mirror and be like, damn, I love you. Right? You can't get there. It's impossible. Like you said, you're never, everything that you experience that really does bring that joy in your life, it's going to feel that much, you know, you're going to feel that much less of the joy, because you're like, okay, that was great, but it's always going to be a but, right? It's always going to be a but. So you really have to address that in yourself. You have those issues with self-love, get help for it. Get help for it. There's no point in sitting there trying to fight that battle alone, because you've done it for however long you've been alive, and if it hasn't worked, then you need to get help. Getting help and then having that vulnerability is key to healing properly.
It's humbling.
It's humbling. You have to have that. You have to have that humility. You have to be willing to say, "Oh, I need help." You know, and you're never going to achieve your true peak, your true levels, if you don't have help, right? I always say, like, truly self-made. Like I know I'm not self-made. Along the journey, I've had people, or I've had things that has helped me get to where I am now, right? And I feel like I'm just getting started. So in order to get that next level, I need people who know things that I don't know. I need people who inspire me, who educate me, who really help me to go ahead and take it to that another level of growth, right? And that's fine. I actually seek that. I enjoy that. I'm like you. I enjoy learning, right? But I'm also learning more about myself in the process, which is key, right? I had to learn the self-love too. Every day, like, because I struggle with depression and PTSD. So every day I have to decide, like, yo, I'm going to love myself a little more today, right? I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to wake up and I'm going to look in the mirror and be like, yo, I love the hell out of you, bro. Like, you have gotten me through so many times that I didn't know I was going to make it through, right? And I want everyone that y'all looking, like, to say the same thing to yourself. Give yourself that grace. Be grateful for what you have overcome and what you've done to get to where you are now. It's just the beginning, right? Every day you have another chance to create opportunities for yourself, but it all starts from within.
Yeah, and that's really important, because if you understand what self-love is, it's just time. Whatever you feed grows. So if you feed in yourself the things that you need, you can grow. If it's just like a plant. If you got plants in your house and you feed them and you water them and you nurture them and you give them time and you play music for them and you do these things, those plants are going to grow and they're going to blossom. But if you're neglecting them, they're going to die, they're going to wither, they're going to fall, they're going to start dripping in. But you got to know what to give them. Every plant is the same.
Right.
You know, you can't give the tulip plant the same thing you give the palm tree. You can't give your money tree the same thing you give your Z plant. You can't give your snake plant the same amount of sunlight you want to give your cactus.
Right.
You know, you got to know what aspects of you needs what. You know, because you have all these many different aspects of you. You can't just be like, I'm just gonna get money. I'm gonna buy nice clothes. I'm gonna pray, and then my life is gonna be okay. Like, nah, it's not that. Like, who you are and what you've achieved are two different things.
For real.
Because you can have a college education and still be miserable. That doesn't mean you reach the pinnacle of understanding and growing. Because now you got to take what you learned and you got to apply it. So telling me that you have a master's doesn't mean you've mastered the information.
Doesn't at all.
You know what I'm saying?
At all. And actually, you know, having masters, I know it's really just a foundation, right? You got a lot more to learn.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, like you said, it's not, you know, what you've done that makes you who you are, right?
Yeah.
It's really how you perceive yourself that makes you who you are, right? And you said we all have different aspects of ourselves.